Welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. I am your host, Josh Saffran, along with my very talented co-host, Mr. Harvey Williams.
Hello.
We are doing the Whiskered Warehouse Warrior. So, Spencer, I know that Harvey did a little prep with you today. He didn't have you grow your beard before our podcast today, so you'll be a little bit of an outsider. We kind of focus on startups, not only that are very good, which you are, but that are fully whiskered. And so we have a little bit of work to do. And if that's the only feedback you get today from us, it was a good podcast.
Elena, can we buy more of those bunnies and ship them to our podcast guests as like a thank you?
Okay.
Thank you.
I think maybe we should get them little plug and play vests first. Can we work on that swag? Tiny swag?
Wow.
Yeah. I like that.
Add that to the...
And so these are my whiskers. So
Gotcha.
don't feel too left out.
I like it.
Spencer, no, I promised.
Yeah, I was going to actually grow out a little beard, but I decided to shave yesterday. So if I'd have known, I would have kept it.
This feels like my fault.
Well,
I feel like
our prep
let
call
us down.
probably are focused on things like your business and all the important things that we want to talk about, and maybe not as focused on the wonderful facial hairs that we're working on here. But we will come back to you. I want to do a brief overview of Plug and Play as we are hosting this podcast for Doing Business in Bentonville. We are an accelerator incubator of startup technology. Elena and I work in our Bentonville-based office, and it's our job to work with startups like Spencer and Repower, help mentor them, and then connect them to our corporate partners through our ecosystem to help solve pain points and challenges within the supply chain space. And the man, the myth, the legend, Harvey Williams, he leads our ventures efforts, where he is working on investments in the supply chain space for us, and also heavily involved in the mentoring of startups. Harvey, anything else you want to add to my very long-winded opening on Plug and Play?
Too long. It's too long. But we are thrilled to have Spencer here. Repower is a portfolio company, and they are doing some awesome stuff.
So before...
Yeah, thank you all for having me.
You were going to get a lot of FaceTime today. This is about all that Harvey and I will do, and then ask some questions. But Elena is going to do an icebreaker because she has to bring it back after my long soliloquy about Plug and Play. So, Elena, why don't you take the mic for a minute and put Spencer, Harvey, and I on blast?
All right, guys. I know it's early, but we're going to do Mad Libs this morning. So get your verbs and adjectives ready.
Josh just used the word soliloquy, so I think
He's ready. The coffee kicked in.
For my poor performance at the beginning, Harvey.
yeah.
All right, Spencer, I'm going to start with you, and I need a food item / condiment.
Queso.
Oof, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
My man, yes, sir.
Josh, a verb.
Let's do jogs.
Harvey, a verb, ing.
Oh,
Verbing.
waking.
We've got
Josh used sleep.
He's got a baby. That's happens all the time.
And Spencer, I need a place.
Chattanooga.
He's promoting
Way to represent.
queso in Chattanooga.
Is queso
All right,
good in Chattanooga? Like, can you get some good queso there?
He's probably
There's a few spots. I wouldn't say it's
Chipotle
like
doesn't count.
for queso or anything, but yeah, there's a few spots.
Yeah, Chipotle doesn't count.
You can't go wrong with melted cheese.
Shout out to Chipotle, though, Harvey. Well done.
I've tried to do queso without the Velveeta, and it's impossible to keep it that drippy consistency. It just firms up. So anyhow,
You just need you need a cheese fountain at all times.
we do need a fondue set. Yeah, you're right.
That's it. Thank you.
All
right, guys.
On this one.
So our actual supply chain headline was Sriracha sauce is facing supply shortages, squeezing restaurants. And you guys came up with queso is facing supply jogs, waking Chattanooga. Yeah.
Josh, you were the weak link in this one.
No, that is the normal for this part of the show.
I mean, everything else would make sense.
Yeah, waking was good.
Okay, one more proper noun. Harvey.
Oh, how about Maxwell.
Maxwell Coffee. You guys got like sleep on the brain, lack thereof.
Definitely lack thereof.
Yeah. Spencer, can I have a verb?
Thinks.
Josh, verb.
Don't blow it.
Shovels.
Shovels.
Okay, that's pretty good.
There you go.
All right. And then, Spencer, I'm going to come back to you for the last one. Another food item.
Chicken fingers.
He's good. He's good.
All right, guys. The
Never the two
headline.
shall meet. Queso and chicken fingers.
Unless you're like a 5-year-old kid, right? I mean, it's like mac and cheese to some degree.
100%.
Yeah.
Our headline is Nestle launches pair of initiatives to decarbonize cocoa supply chain. And you guys have Maxwell thanks pair of initiatives to shovel chicken fingers supply chain.
Shovel fit well, Harvey. Look at that.
Shovel those chicken fingers.
I think you did a good job.
I like it.
All right, now you guys are warmed up.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Alina.
You got it.
Well, Spencer, welcome. This is now going to be your time to shine. Repower's been in business since 2020, so during COVID. Tell us a bit about you and the company.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Super excited to chat with you guys today and tell you a little bit about Repower. And so, yeah, I'm Spencer, co-founder, CEO of Repower. We started the company, Patrick and I started the company back on the heels of COVID. We noticed that in COVID, trailers played a massive part in the supply chain and the overall efficiency of the supply chain. But really nobody was really focused on trailer visibility, and trailer utilization is a massive, massive problem. And so back off the heels of COVID, supply chain froze up, no leasing companies, no rental companies, no dealerships had any trailer inventory. And we decided we needed to tap into owned and underutilized trailer capacity from some of the world's largest enterprise fleets. Enterprise fleets really struggle to manage trailers. It's a complex puzzle and a complex problem they have to solve every single day, every hour of the day. And so trailer utilization is what Repower boils down to. And we built a platform, a marketplace that connects trucking companies, brokers, shippers to seamlessly and digitally interchange trailers with one another on demand. And when you think about trailer sharing or renting trailers, there's a lot of things that go into it: insurance, billing, payments, carrier identification. Like, is this a legitimate carrier and are they fraudulent? And then managing interchanges and that chain of custody and the inspection process is all baked into our product. And so Repower aims to, reduce trailer underutilization, get trailers moving, make them visible and on demand, accessible to the industry.
And first of all, this is right down the fairway for doing business in Bentonville. Shout out to our podcast. How do you think about the customer or like the stakeholder experience, right? Building a marketplace. You got to make sure that the carrier, the shipper, and the brokerage are all having and maximizing their own experience with you guys. How do you think about that in terms of not just product, but also, the entire customer support experience? You're building this for a lot of stakeholders. They have competing interests. How do you guys build for that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I tell my team all the time, as a marketplace business, we have a supply side, we have a demand side. On the demand side, it's predominantly our customers are owner operators. 90% of trucking companies are fleets that are 1 to 6 power units. So very small trucking companies dominate this industry. And so for that experience and that product side experience, it's a lot like a consumer tech product, meaning it's very easy to use, big buttons, one call to action. It's really hard to not know what to do, and it's just an easy flow. On the other side, we've got the supply side of our marketplace is big enterprise fleets that have multiple screens and 3 screens and a desktop, and shippers and brokers on a desktop. And so their experience is much more on the enterprise tech product side, meaning that it's heavily integrated, very robust behind the scenes, a lot of customization. It acts much more like a TMS or a enterprise tech product there. And so that's kind of how we've built both sides of the experience at Repower. On the demand side, it's kind of like a mixture of Airbnb and Uber, very simple, easy to use. On the other side, there's a whole element of trailer management, interchanges, carrier identity, a lot of those things that billing and payments that is on the supply side. So that's kind of how we thought about that to grow and scale the marketplace.
Harvey knows this about me. I'm a simple man. Anytime we get on with some of these startups, I always have to go, walk me through this in layman's terms. And I'm really hiding behind the viewers that may not know it. But the reality is I don't understand half the stuff that we're talking about here. It's super simple, right? Anytime you're driving past the port and you see all these trailers sitting empty, or you talk to a CPG, a supplier, and they go, I had a very expensive trailer today because I had only 1 pallet, 2 pallets. It wasn't full. And I'm thinking there's got to be a solve for this. And here you are, right? So talk to me a little bit about how you're working with companies like a Procter & Gamble or a Colgate, or how you would work with somebody like that to help them be much more efficient and save them tons of money. I mean, there's got to be plenty of examples that are shareable with the audience.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love about this industry is that it's such a complex industry, but it's super simple at the end of the day. There's multiple parties working together on a single shipment. So if you think about a owner operator, a single truck driver pulling a load in a trailer, there's probably 6 or 7 different parties involved in that shipment. There's probably a freight broker, there's a shipper, there's a carrier, there may be a leasing company. So there's all these different parties. And so Repower singularly focuses on the trailer itself. And Great Dane put out a study. Great Dane's a trailer manufacturer in the industry, and they put out a study that says that 75% of a trailer's lifespan is spent detached from a power unit, a truck. And there's about 6 billion.
Massive.
Yeah. And these are $50,000+ assets here. And so it's it's pretty backwards. It doesn't make sense, but given that amount of underutilization and the amount of trailers that sit idle and just sit around in yards all over the world, that's capacity that's needed by a lot of that 90% of carriers that I mentioned earlier. And so if you think about a trucking company working with a Procter & Gamble or any other shipper, Target, Walmart, Amazon, a trucking company will set up trailer pools at all of their shipper customers' locations. And Procter & Gamble may say to JB Hunt or Knight Swift or whoever, I need 15 trailers at all of these distribution centers in the Southeast or wherever. And over time, that 15 at this location may turn into 30 that Knight Swift or JB Hunt or whomever has there. And so that means that trailer pool has 15 too many trailers and they're just sitting there. And so a lot of our capacity that gets listed to Repower is a lot of these repositions. So a trailer pool gets imbalanced, oversubscribed is kind of how we describe it. And so Those 15 trailers become available on Repower, and small trucking companies, shippers, and brokers can search the marketplace or request trailers nearby and use those for a day, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, all the way up to a year if the owner of the trailer allows them to. And so it's this network of trailers moving from A to B. And so we're balancing our network, we're balancing the customer's network, really with one simple goal in mind of optimizing trailer utilization and making sure trailers are in the right place at the right time.
And especially as it relates to the folks that you have on the platform now, like what's the average reservation length typically today?
Yeah, it's months? So about a year ago, it was in the 55-day range. Since the market's kind of loosened a little bit, we've seen it fluctuate and ebb and flow a little bit. Now we're in an environment where it's dropped a little bit. It's somewhere around like 42-ish days now. But it's, if you go to a leasing company in the industry, if you're a driver, you need a trailer for 60 days. You can't really find that. So we're focused on a small kind of niche trailer rental or trailer interchange that is, longer than your typical loadout, which is 7 to 10 days, but much shorter than your lease or typical rental that you'll get from the industry.
Yeah. I'm going to take this in a completely different direction, and then Josh will get back on track as per usual. Spencer, you came from insurance, right?
I did.
So to the founders out there, the entrepreneurs out there that are building in this space, in this industry, how did you get started? You and Patrick teamed up and you said, hey, look, here's a problem. Everything from finding folks to come work for you, to start building out the tech stack, like that whole part of the journey, I think is underreported, shall we say. And so I'd love just to spend a little bit of time here catching everybody back up to, this kind of origin story that you guys have.
Yeah. So I guess rewinded back to 2018, 2019, and Patrick and I had been friends. We've been best friends since 2004.
Shout out to Patrick. Miss you, buddy. We'll get him on the next one. We'll get him on for the round two.
Yeah. So Patrick and I, we met in Birmingham, Alabama, in 2004. Grew up together, played sports together, played baseball, football, basketball together. High school, we split it up. We split up going to college. He went to Auburn. I went to Ole Miss. And I studied risk management and insurance. And so fast forward to 2015, we both graduated from college, moved back to Birmingham. I worked for a large national insurance broker in Birmingham that, I had a book of business that I was the agent for some small to medium-sized logistics companies or fleets. And every single year I'd notice as I would go meet with them, give them their insurance renewal, that they would go out and buy as much equipment as they possibly could: trucks, trailers, chassis, shipping containers, you name it. If it was available and they had the capital, they would buy it. And in an industry like logistics or the freight market that's ebbs and flows, it's super volatile. So these guys may go out and buy, 200 trailers, but the market dips significantly. And so they don't really have the need for it. And so I just noticed that every single year as I would meet with my customers for their insurance renewal, their power unit count grew, their trailer count grew, but their revenues didn't really grow proportionally. And I'd look at them and they'd say, I don't really have the need for this equipment. It just sits out in the yard. But I need it in case I have contract volume increases or I get a bunch of drivers. And there wasn't really a way for anyone else to use it or to share it with anybody either. So it was just costs that they had to eat. and it impacted their bottom line. And I saw how much they were paying just on insurance alone, and it was enough that I was questioning their ability to run a company. So that's how my experience, how Repower was born. Patrick and I, we always knew we didn't want to work for other people, and we loved what we did out of college, and we wouldn't be here without that experience. But we always wanted to do our own thing, control our own destiny, and really like get up every single morning fired up to build something. And so that's what we did. Patrick's experience, he worked in Birmingham with a flatbed trucking company called PS Logistics, and he saw a lot of the same things. And he was coordinating loads from drivers to customers, and being that liaison there. A lot of times he would have to coordinate a company driver to go pick up a trailer 300 miles away. And he knew good and well that there was probably a trailer within a couple of miles of where that driver was, but they had to go 300 miles just to pick up their trailer. So it's just, there's a lot of inefficiencies that we noticed in trailers being in the right place at the right time, and trailer utilization just being in just absolutely critical.
Spencer, I don't necessarily want to get us back on track because I do have a following I want to add on this, but then I will come back. So give me a quick answer on this one. They did say, some wise man once said, probably a man who was working with his wife, don't mix business and pleasure. Don't work with your best friend. It causes the building will burn and you guys will never be friends anymore. And how did you manage through that? I'm sure there's a couple of interesting tidbits along the way of things that maybe you didn't see eye to eye, but how do you successfully work with one of your best friends?
That's a wonderful question. It's
good question.
Yeah. I don't think that there's a quick answer to that one, Josh. But it's I'll tell you what, Patrick and I are like brothers. And so when we have that brotherly connection, like his family's like my family and vice versa. So we're able to have very difficult conversations with one another, very honest, transparent conversations with one another, where I feel like a lot of times people can't do that. And so I owe a lot to Patrick and wouldn't be here without him. And the company wouldn't be where it is without him either. So I think it just comes down to that brotherly connection and just almost like family.
See, Harvey and I work so well together because we don't like each other. So like you could see the way we're able to, we just get right to business because nobody cares about his family or my family. But you guys have been able to figure that out, which is awesome. Bringing it back to Repower for a second, though, because you did touch on something in that conversation with Harvey, was give me some real numbers, some tangible savings. We worked with company A that you can name or not name, and by implementing Repower, we were able to generate, whether it was faster on time and full, or we saved the company 25% by doing A, B, and C. Like, give us some real numbers that the people can be wowed about listening to the podcast.
Yeah. So if you're a fleet and you've got 15,000 trailers, you're working, and I'm in charge of managing that 15,000 trailers for a fleet. My job is to make sure trailers are in the right place at the right time every single day, and I have a team that are working on that. And a lot of times, we would have to reposition trailers, pay somebody to move a trailer or a couple of trailers from point A to point B, call it Dallas to Atlanta. And I may pay $500 a trailer to do that. And so what Repower does is we help eliminate that expense for fleets, and we help them actually earn revenue on that move instead of paying somebody to move it. And so we basically, it's called a repositioning expense. But basically by extending the period of time that you're willing to let that trailer go out, you can actually flip that expense into a revenue. And I've talked to a number of our customers. We have one customer that spends $49 million a year on equipment repositioning. We had a customer in 2023. They joined in March, I believe, of 23. So 8-9 months on the platform. They were able to generate $1.5 million on just equipment moves from A to B. And so it's some serious money that is really positively impacting the bottom line of a lot of these fleets. And really, when you look at a fleet, they live and die by their operating ratio. And so that's something that we can really have an impact on. And honestly, turning a lot of these typical trailer management professionals into revenue generating machines for a lot of these fleets. It's pretty neat to see.
And on the growth side, Craig Fuller's joined your board.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the paragons of the supply chain tech industry. What's it been like working with Craig?
Man, Craig is, I love working with Craig. He is an entrepreneur at heart. He's relentless. He gets it. He gets what it takes to make it big. He's tough. He's fair. But he's just also, I don't know if you just think about the wealth of knowledge in the industry, the people in the industry with the most knowledge, he's number one or two, probably number one. I mean, the amount of knowledge he has, I saw something the other day that really stood out to me talking about Craig, and it's not a job for him. It's not a career for him. It's like his hobby. And so having somebody like that in our corner has been amazing. He has a lot of context on market cycles and just a lot of the data that is critical for us to make real-time decisions and know where to place trailers, where trailer demand is high, where supply is dense, things like that he's been a wealth of knowledge for. So I've loved working with Craig, and I think we got a lot of really interesting things coming down the pipe.
So I'll talk about firepower. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were going to.
We don't like each other, Harvey. I interrupted you. Sorry. We're sharing this. I do love Harvey quite. Had a wonderful wife and family, so I do like him. So we do work well together because I do like him. I don't know if it's mutual. Yeah. Spencer, so what is coming next? So you said a lot of stuff down the pipe. Like what do you see the next 6 to 12 months looking like for you guys, whether it's new technologies or new partnerships? Obviously with Craig on board, there should be some new ideas being generated, but what's the crystal ball look like for you guys in the short-term future?
Yeah, we're laser focused on this scalability phase. We've generated a lot of really good traction in the industry. We work with, I think, 19 of the top 30 truckload carriers in the country now. And we've got a really kind of, I wouldn't say viral, but a really sizably growing demand side of our audience, so the owner operators and brokers. And so all signs are pointing to growth. It's just finding those core growth levers that kick it into the next gear. And we got a lot of work left to do. Very pleased with our growth to date, but the next 6 to 12 months here will be for us just heads down in the trenches, really growing and scaling effectively. So there's going to be a lot of investments into the product, making the product experience more scalable, more intuitive. We've got a lot of integrations coming down the pipe as well, and a lot of really, really exciting partnerships that some are software integrations, API integrations with existing players in the space. But overall, it's about that unbelievable product experience and growing and scaling effectively. But I'd say I'm super excited about the traction. I think that the next 6 to 12 months should be very, very exciting for Repower.
Well, and at least from my perspective, and definitely throw a bucket of ice water on me if you want. I mean, you guys have you are the first mover. Like, we have not seen really anybody else come into this space from the startup side in terms of competition, right? And there's a few legacy players, sure, and they're a little bit more dated, but I mean, how's that been for you guys? I mean, continuing to just go to work and making sure that you're building for your multiple stakeholders, and you haven't really been in a position where you're threatened by an inbound competitor, right? That's nice.
Yeah, it's a very interesting landscape. You know, there are a lot of fleets, a lot of brokers, a lot of shippers that are becoming more trailer centric in terms of their operational strategy and building technology around trailer utilization, trailer optimization. We're right there with them and moving in that direction. And I think if you just look at the industry, you look at Uber Freight, Convoy, a lot of these digital brokerages tout trailer pools and trailer network optimization, drop trailer programs, things like that. And a lot of times we get kind of pegged as competitors to those digital brokerages with trailer pools. And I don't look at it that way at all. I think that we are a perfect complement to those business models, and where trailer capacity, the amount of trailer capacity that a broker or a carrier has, mixed with the technology to optimize and use the trailers as best as possible, is really where Repower can help supplement or complement these networks that already exist. So we get labeled as competitors to a lot of those type business models, and I don't look at it that way at all. I think it's a match made in heaven. And really, when you think about it, I mean, Repower at scale allows true on-demand trailer capacity. It allows greater flexibility, whether you're a 80,000 trailer fleet or a single truck owner operator or a broker with no trailers. You have complete flexibility, and we don't want any logistics provider to ever turn down freight or miss out on freight because of trailers. And so that's where Repower can really help provide a lot of much needed flexibility in the industry. And you're right, there's some legacy players with existing brands out there that we do compete with, but we're very, very different than those competitors in terms of our product, and we're truly an agnostic player in the industry because we don't touch any freight, which is our customers' core business.
And are you seeing any development kind of in the sustainability side of the house? You know, there's a few startups out there that are building electric trailers or, battery units to be able to hybridize diesel trucks, like the work that Ian's doing over at Revoy. Are you seeing that at all in your business and from your customers wanting to implement those types of solutions, or where are we on the adoption curve?
Yeah, I'm familiar with a few, Range Energy, familiar with those guys. I like what those guys are doing. There's definitely a sustainability play. I believe that I don't think it'll be within the next 2-3 years. I think it'll be 5 to 10. But I think that's an interesting space. I think that there is a lot of opportunity there. In terms of a sustainability play for Repower, I think that if you just think about that example I mentioned earlier about a driver driving 300 miles to pick up a trailer, they're that company's closest trailer, I think, and we've seen this every single day for the past 3 years, but connecting a driver or a carrier to the nearest available trailer eliminates a lot of those wasted miles, saves fuel, saves carbon emissions. And we have seen a lot of big name fleets ask Repower to help them in their sustainability strategy and help them kind of understand how many miles we're saving them a year, like empty mileage. And Covenant Logistics here in town in Chattanooga featured us in their corporate sustainability report 2023. And I believe they said that we had saved like 100 million miles just thinking about moving trailers from point A to point B. So it's absolutely fascinating. And the sustainability is something that we're digging into, trying to quantify that, because it is a huge value add to Repower that Repower provides.
Harvey,
Josh, maybe we can link that.
Yeah, Harvey, we cut out briefly here for a second. The question was around sustainability within the transportation space and how they are capitalizing. I caught all the end on the study and the 100 million miles, but that was the core of the question?
Yeah, that was the core of the question. And there's other players out there that are building into the trailer from an OEM perspective, or maybe from a retrofit perspective. But, with what Repower is doing, they're going to be moving that trailer eventually. And as he's seen that kind of progress from, prototyping and experimenting at the pilot stage to, wow, we're actually starting to move some of these electric trailers. And a little early, but the work even that Repower is doing to help decarbonize and to help some of these logistics companies meet their sustainability goals is clear and obvious. And it was Covenant Logistics. Is that right, Spencer?
Yeah.
And so actually we can go pull that down and we'll link it to this podcast along with some other material.
Perfect. Now, Spencer, maybe this is part of the reason Harvey doesn't like me as much as I like him. I'm going to ask a question that he doesn't like when I ask. But I feel good in this forum because Harvey's more humble than he lets on. So your working relationship with Plug and Play, obviously you're a portfolio company and we think highly enough of you guys that we're investors, but for startups that are thinking about working with Plug and Play or have interest or have not technically heard much about Plug and Play, give us a little bit around your working relationship with us and the value that we've been able to provide to you guys.
Yeah, I can confidently say that we would not be where we are today without Plug and Play. And Harvey, back in 2021, when we raised our pre-seed round, Harvey, I think you guys were the first or second check in the door. And it was, ever since then, we haven't looked back, and it's been an insanely valuable relationship. And you guys do an unbelievable job. The events that you guys put on and the caliber of corporate sponsors that you guys bring to the table is the best in the industry. It is hands down extremely valuable. And you guys do a very, very good job of plugging portfolio companies with the corporate sponsors, getting you in front of the right people at the corporate sponsors. And I think 2 or 3 of our biggest customers are corporate sponsors within Plug and Play's network. So, Harvey, thank you for all the support, and you and your team, we wouldn't be here without you.
Well, thank you, Spencer. It's very nice. And Josh, way to go for the shameless plug, as always. I mean, look, we love what you guys are doing. And the business that you're building, this is the reason why we want to invest in this space. And working with you and Patrick has been such a joy. And if you are listening to this and you could become a potential customer or even on the supplier side to Repower, I encourage you, go to repower.com is the website, and fill out the form, get in touch with these guys, learn a little bit more about what they're doing for some of their customers. If you need case studies, if you need anything else on the supporting side, the Repower team is ready to rock.
REPOWR.com.
I was going to say, make sure you spell it.
Yeah. There's no E.
You needed a little bit of that 21st century tech, spelling.
Yeah.
Spencer, thank you for coming on. Harvey, I don't have to ask you about the space because I know you're super excited about these guys and what they're doing. And it's almost like you're bragging on them like you're a proud parent, and I get a chance to see you interact with quite a few startups, and the way that you think about these guys and talk about the space, it makes me super bullish on what these guys are doing. So I appreciate you, Harvey, for what you're doing with these guys, and it's nice to hear Spencer talk about the work that Plug and Play is doing. Spencer, I think the space is really interesting. I think it's super relevant for Bentonville, for Northwest Arkansas, whether it's on the trucking side with something like a JB Hunt or a Walmart, or with all the CPGs that are here on the ground. I think you add a tremendous amount of value, and I'm certain that folks will be reaching out to you from this ecosystem here in Northwest Arkansas.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Really enjoyed it, and excited to keep the conversation going. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Spencer. Bye, guys.
Thanks.